I look like DJ Tanner running a workout video. Today, we are talking about the 2004 motion picture 13 going on 30. Otherwise, why would I be dressed like this? Because this is what I looked like when I was 13. 13 going on 30 is about one Jenna Rink on her 13th birthday. These rotten bitches, the six chicks, come over and ruin her life. And she wishes that she were 30 because when you're 30, you're flirty and thriving. She makes this wish. She wakes up the next day as a 30-year-old. What? Then she has to figure out what her life is. And eventually, she realizes that she missed out on a lot and that by wishing this, she totally ruined her friendship with Matt Flamhalf, hottie, Mark Ruffalo. At the end, she goes back to being 13 and gets to relive her life so that she remains a good person and doesn't become a raging bitch like she apparently is when she's 30. Personally, I didn't care much for Jennifer Garner until recently because I don't really like to think of her as an actress. I just like to think of her as Ben Affleck's wife. But she's just really good at pretending to be a 13-year-old in a 30-year-old's body. Jenna Rink is a very romantic role. She's just kind of delicate and sweet. And she has the best intentions because she still has the mind of a 13-year-old, but she doesn't realize that her 30-year-old self is such a terrible person. The younger cast perfectly reflects the older cast, and they just did such a good job, like, getting the appearances down right, especially Judy Greer. Judy Greer's younger self, 100% spot on. And the character just completely remains the same, and that's what I like about this. It definitely shows you archetypes. You know, you have the bitchy girl who's a bitch in the 7th grade, and she's gonna remain a bitch her entire life, and she's gonna be alone and bitter, but she'll pretend to be happy on the surface, and she thinks she's awesome and classy, but she's not. And you know, she's just a character that remains exactly the same. And then there's Jennifer Garner's character who goes through this ultimate, like, huge transformation throughout all of her life that she doesn't experience because she's 13 years old in a 30-year-old's body. And then there's Mark Ruffalo, who grew out of being a nerdy loser into being a cool person. It's really just a good message to appreciate who you are and what you are, and to know that, you know, they're gonna be people who are gonna step all over you if you're nice, but you just need to tell yourself that you're gonna wind up being a happier human than they are eventually in life if you don't let them step all over you forever. If you grow out of it, if you punch down their dress and call them a biatch, because that's all they are. I love all the 80s references and clothing and everything that is in this movie because it's all kind of just related to the 80s. The frackin' razzles, I swear to God. It's the scene where she goes home and they're playing that song, "Slow down, you crazy child." I cry every time. I was 12 when this movie came out, and I cried at that part, and I cried at the end, and I still do. I'm 20 now, 8 years later, and the movie still moves me. It's got a really fun script. It's predictable, and it's, you know, there's nothing really surprising or high quality about it. It's one of those movies that plays on FX all the time, so you know it's not really great, but it's fun. The clothes, fantastic. Every piece of clothing in this movie is flawless. Now, yeah, there's that one where Jennifer Garner's hair is up in 2 little buns, and she's wearing that, like, tight tank top, bandeau, lingerie piece, I don't know, but it's a brown, like, suit, and that is awful. And pretty much anytime she has something that, like, exposes her shoulders, it's bad news. because she's got real broad shoulders. She did have really broad shoulders. She doesn't seem to anymore. But at the time, they were just very defined because she was an alias and she had to have muscles, and it's distracting. Her party dress used to be something I hated, but I've grown to accept it in my old age and think it's fabulous. My favorite part of the movie, the photography montage. Their little love montage, actually. I just think it's so cute and it's so good and it's so much fun. Beautiful. It's not that great a movie, but it's a blast. It's a blast to watch. You gotta love it.
They had put a fart machine into my sleeping bag.